Let's start with the most deadliest military unit first, the Berserkers, Viking shock troops who had to stop being human before they could fight. They belonged to animal cult brotherhoods and worked themselves into a battle trance called berserkergang. Most historians believe through ritual and sheer rage, though some think drugs or alcohol played a role. They wore bear and wolf pelts into battle. They bit the iron rims of their own shields. Sagas claimed they felt no pain, and that neither fire nor iron could stop them. And the numbers actually back some of that up. At Stamford Bridge in 1066, a single berserker reportedly held the entire bridge alone against Harold Godwinson's army, cutting down around 40 men before he was finally killed. One man, an entire army, held at a bridge. That ratio is almost impossible to believe, and yet it's one of the most documented moments in Norse military history. But the problem was the same thing that made them lethal. Once the trance broke, they were completely spent. And until it broke, they couldn't always tell friend from enemy. A weapon you can't aim eventually points back at you. Jarl Eiríkur of Norway outlawed berserkers in 1015, and Iceland's law code sentenced them to outlawry, so that organized war bands had vanished by the 1100s. The most feared shock troops in the Viking world, outlawed by their own people. So we've seen the first true professional army and the most uncontrollable shock force in history. Now let's talk about the unit that turned discipline into a religion, the Spartans, the only soldiers from the ancient world whose name still means perfect warrior 2,500 years later. Training began at age 7 in the agoge. Controlled starvation, constant combat, survival in the wild. Only the strongest made it to age 20 to become full hoplites. They lived in barracks until age 30, training every single day. Their wives managed the estates. They gave their entire lives to war, and it showed. At Thermopylae in 480 BC, 300 Spartans alongside 700 Thespian allies held a narrow mountain pass against a Persian army for 3 days, killing an estimated 20,000 before being flanked and overwhelmed. The casualty ratio there is almost statistically impossible in ancient warfare. Their phalanx formation, overlapping shields, 2.5-meter spears, absolute discipline, was essentially a wall that moved. They never retreated. Retreat wasn't in the vocabulary, but the Spartans had a fatal flaw built into the very system that made them great. Only sons of full Spartan citizens could become Spartans. The pool was tiny, and it kept shrinking. Their citizen soldier population fell from around 10,000 at their peak to less than 1,000 within a century. At the Battle of Leuctra in 371 BC, the Thebans under Epaminondas shattered Spartan military dominance, and the citizen population never recovered. A society built only to produce warriors eventually runs out of them. And speaking of a warrior culture that lasted far longer, let's talk about one that ruled for 700 years and was only stopped by something no sword could touch: the samurai. The greatest warrior caste of feudal Japan, trained from childhood in sword, bow, and spear under the code of bushido. Capture or disgrace was answered with seppuku, ritual suicide. Their blades were so sharp that new ones were reportedly tested on living strangers in a practice called tsujigiri, or crossroads killing. At the Battle of Sekigahara in 1600, 160,000 samurai clashed in a single day to decide who would rule Japan. They repelled 2 Mongol invasion fleets in 1274 and 1281. They dominated an entire civilization for 7 centuries. But their end didn't come from a rival army. It came from modernization. At their final stand on Mount Shiroyama in 1877, government conscripts with rifles outnumbered Saigo Takamori's samurai 7-1. Around 40,000 samurai died in the Satsuma Rebellion. Conscripts with rifles ended a 1,000-year culture. Mastery is supreme only until the rules of the game change without asking permission. Now we're getting into the units that didn't just win. They changed what war could look like. The Zulu Impis. One man, Shaka, turned a minor clan into the terror of an entire continent in less than a decade. He built the Amabutho, an age regiment army, through barefoot conditioning marches of up to 50 kilometers a day over thornfields. Cowardice meant execution. A warrior couldn't marry until he had killed someone in battle. Their weapon was the ikolwa, a short stabbing spear reportedly named for the sucking sound it made when pulled from a body, paired with a large cowhide shield and deployed in the horns of the buffalo encirclement tactic that closed around an enemy before they could react. On January 22, 1879, roughly 20,000 Zulu warriors attacked about 1,800 British colonial and native troops at Isandlwana. Over 1,300 of the British force were killed. It remains Britain's worst ever defeat to an indigenous force, at an 11-to-1 numerical disadvantage. Speed, discipline, and an encirclement that closed before anyone could respond. But spears and courage couldn't outrun firepower. The British returned, and at Ulundi on July 4th of the same year, they dismantled the old Zulu order entirely. Shock and bravery can win a battle. They can't win a war against artillery. Now here's one that most people know the name of, but almost nobody knows the actual mechanics behind. The Aztec Jaguar warriors. An elite that didn't fight to kill you. It fought to take you alive. To reach Jaguar rank, a warrior had to capture 4 enemies alive in battle, not kill them. Capture them. That's the promotion requirement. They were raised in military schools, trained in the Makua Huitl, a wooden club edged with obsidian blades said to be capable of beheading a horse in a single strike. And they dominated Mesoamerica for generations through a combination of ferocious close combat and religious terror. Their flower wars, fought specifically to take captives for sacrifice, kept neighboring states in a permanent state of fear and submission. The problem is obvious in hindsight. The capture-first instinct was a catastrophic weakness against an enemy who simply killed at range. When the Spanish arrived with steel, firearms, and no interest in the rules of flower warfare, the Jaguar warriors' entire tactical system became a trap. Tenochtitlan fell in 1521. A war fought by your own rules becomes a liability the moment your enemy ignores them. If you're finding this as interesting as I am, drop a comment below with which of these units you think was the most dominant overall. And if you want to see more deep dives like this, hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Now, the Mongols. Because we have to talk about the Mongols, Genghis Khan's horse armies, and at the center of it all, his elite personal guard, the Keshik. Above all his various warrior groupings, Genghis created an elite force originally formed from his most loyal and longest-serving companions. They rode and fired composite recurve bows at a full gallop from childhood. The Great Hunt was used as a mass military drill. The entire army was organized in a rigid decimal system, tens, hundreds, thousands, so that orders moved through it like electricity. And when they needed siege capability, they simply borrowed engineers from the peoples they had already conquered and put them to work. Their signature move was the feigned retreat, pulling back to draw an enemy out of formation, then turning and destroying them in the open. Entire armies fell for it repeatedly. And when a city refused to surrender, the Mongols made sure the next city heard about it in detail. Hulagu demanded surrender. The Caliph refused. Many accounts say the Caliph failed to prepare for the fight. The siege started on January 29th. The battle was swift by siege standards. By February 5th, the Mongols controlled a stretch of the wall. Al-Mustasim tried to negotiate, but was refused. On February 10th, Baghdad surrendered. The Mongols swept into the city on February 13th and began a week of massacre, looting, and destruction. According to most accounts, the Caliph was killed by trampling. The Mongols rolled him up in a rug and rode their horses over him, as they believed the earth was offended if touched by royal blood. The death toll at Baghdad in 1258 was recorded at over 200,000 by Hulagu's own estimate, with Muslim sources claiming far higher. The largest contiguous land empire in history, built on mobility, terror, and the feigned retreat. Their weakness? Succession. The empire had no stable way to pass power. It fractured among rival heirs into competing khanats and dissolved entirely from within. Whatever conquers the world rarely knows how to divide it. So here's what connects every single unit on this list. Every single one of them was unbeatable, right up until the moment they weren't. And the reason is always the same. The thing that made them dominant was also the thing that eventually destroyed them. If that got you thinking, explore channel for more such videos. It's worth your time. Go watch it next.